Always good to be joined by an old friend on the podcast. And that's exactly what's going to happen today as WWE superstar, ECW legend, the man beast himself, Rhyno, is going to join me. WWE going to be doing their final Smackdown at Joe Louis Arena coming up on Tuesday, December 20th. We talk about that, talk about his past, talk about his politics as well, because Rhyno ran for state representative this past fall in a losing bid, but a valiant effort nonetheless.
T-minus 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 4, 3, 2, 1, and liftoff.
This is Radio Chatter with WRIF's own Meltdown.
Like I said in the intro, WWE Smackdown making its final appearance at Joe Louis Arena as the famed arena getting set to shut its doors at the end of the hockey season this year. And at the rate we're going, it could be early. It could be mid-April. I'm not sure if the playoffs are going to be in sight for this team this year. We'll see what happens, but something has to change drastically. In the meantime, talk to Rhyno, great guy. I've known him since the summer of 2001 was when I first met the man beast, as they call him. And it's so funny because, yeah, he's a big, thick guy, but he's such a sweet guy. He's just a real nice guy. He walked in the station, and there was a winner there, which we talked about here in a little bit. And just like, hey, is that Rhyno? Can I get a picture? And Rhyno's always willing to take a picture and stop and say hello to a fan. We talk about a lot of things. His history, his politics. Of course, he ran for state representative. We'll get into that here coming up in just a little bit. In the meantime, hope you guys dig this. My old friend Rhyno today on Radio Chatter. Hey, Rhyno, glad to see you right here in the studio, man.
Well, I'm glad to be here. It's been a while.
It has been a while. Actually, you've never been in this studio before, the station. Yeah, we'll have to give you the 10-cent tour before you leave here today.
I was hoping it was a 5-cent tour because money's still
needs some change.
After losing the titles.
Yeah, you're losing titles, man.
Things were looking good for me this year, and then it's just like I hit a roadblock. We lost the titles. Slater's turning on me slowly, and yeah, it's hopefully it ends a little bit better, especially at the Joe on the 20th.
Yeah, the Joe. Yeah, so what's your deal coming up here at SmackDown?
Well, it's going to be live. It's SmackDown Live. We're going to have all the pyro. Dean Ambrose and AJ Styles is in the main event for the championship title. We have all the divas, I should say women wrestlers. SmackDown Live are going to be there. Shane McMahon, Daniel Bryan. So it's going to be a great show. I don't know exactly what I'm doing, so Slater and I smooth things over. So hopefully we have a tag team title championship match.
Now, I was thinking about this as I was coming here today. You know, I deal a lot with rock stars and musicians and whatnot. And sometimes, like, let's just say, for example, a guy like John Five from Rob Zombie's band, he'll go from playing the Token and doing some solo stuff to go playing with Rob Zombie at big, stadiums. Right. And you're kind of in the same boat. You do the independent thing, playing these small, like, VFW halls, and you go play Joe Louis Arena. So tell me about your thoughts on that and on the two different aspects of it.
Well, it's great because I've always been a people person, and when you do the smaller shows, you have a better opportunity to meet people, and there's no barrier with WWE because it's such a large audience. It's just hard to meet people and become have a personal connection with them unless it's at a signing or something like that, which you're on the road a lot doing shows, so you not necessarily have the time to do the signing. So it's good and bad doing the bigger shows, and good and bad with doing the smaller shows. The bad is the pay. So
don't
we all
sugarcoat
know,
it,
right? Yeah, we all know these bills keep on coming in. So but working with the WWE last year when I was with their NXT brand, it was great because I could do the smaller shows. And then when they did the brand split, they were like, "Okay, we'd like to sign you to a 3-year deal," and that's what I did. And I'm very fortunate and blessed, and I have a lot to pass on to the younger generation. So.
Now, you're not as young as I met you when I met you on July 27th, 2001.
Actually, I was joking. I told Meltdown earlier that was the date. The date was actually the 29th. No, you're right. I don't know. 27th.
I said the 28th at first. I don't know. It's one of those things.
No, it is the 27th. For your listeners, I always ask them, when did we meet and become friends? And it was on July 27th, 2001.
Yeah, because it was like shortly after my daughter was born.
And I had sideburns then, too.
Yeah, sideburns.
But I had the goatee with the sideburns.
You've always had the goatee. The sideburns thing, I don't know if you're you're applying.
It's terrible. It's a terrible look. It's a horrible look. It's just to embarrass my daughter, so she thinks, because she's 14, well, going to be 14, and she thinks I'm the uncoolest person in the world.
Get used to it.
Yeah, right. So how old is your daughter?
Well, my daughter's 15. It's so funny that you bring this story up because I was talking to somebody just recently. I can't remember who it was, but they said, yeah, I always listen when the school bus comes and my kids are like, Dad, get away. You got to go back here, whatever. So anyways, and I'm pretty cool, man. I know a lot of cool people, right?
Right.
So somebody told me this story, and I can't remember who it was. They said, yeah, Kid Rock went to a movie theater with his kid one time, and the kid was there with his buddy. His son was there with his buddy, and he wanted to sit away from Kid Rock. And Rock goes, I'll tell you what. He goes, you know what? I'm pretty sure I'm cooler than anybody in this theater, and you don't want to sit next to me.
Right.
So it's not just you.
Well, hell, I'll sit next to him in the movie theater. I don't want him to feel alone. I'll take up that task. Could you imagine going and watching a movie with Kid Rock? That would be pretty cool. So
yeah, I'd try to give you the popcorn surprise or something. I don't want no part of that.
I don't know. What are you talking about? I don't understand this. Please explain to your listeners.
I'm not sure. There's female ears in the room. I apologize.
Right.
But anyways, so getting back to this, so they sent you to a 3-year deal. Have you looked, as I was getting to it earlier, have you looked down the road as to where your career is going to go? I mean, you're getting towards probably the end of like your wrestling career, aren't you?
Well, I feel really good. I did actually hurt my hip flexor on the inversion table. I told that to the trainer, and our trainer goes, "You're the very first person I've ever heard to hurt themselves on an inversion table." I'll go through tables, I'll get hit with chairs and stuff like that, but the inversion table, that's what got me. So
that got you.
Yeah.
That's what happens when you get older, you see?
Right. Well, no, me being the meathead man that I am, I'm adding extra pressure by pushing. So when you're hanging upside down, they say a little bit is okay. So if a little bit feels good,
right, more is better.
Yeah. So it's like more is going to feel a lot better. And then I didn't feel a tear or a pop, but I'm like, okay, that doesn't feel good. But all right, it started feeling better 5 minutes later. So the next day I'm doing the same thing. So then, driving a lot, it just it tightens up. So I just have to put some heat and ice, and a couple months of that, it started to feel real good.
If we want to talk about injuries, we could be here for like the next 37 minutes because I have a lot of injuries too.
Yeah, I've been very blessed. Just other than the hip flexor and the neck, I'm doing really well. So
hey,
some days I to answer your question, some days I feel like I can go another 10, 15 years, and and some days it's just like another 10, 15 minutes. Usually it's a 10, 15 years. So
hey, so you walk in today, and there's a listener here picking up some prizes. He recognizes you and whatnot. You take a picture with him. I've always, you've always been really good to the fans. Where's the weirdest place that somebody's recognized
Bathrooms.
you? Yeah, bathrooms, yeah.
It's like, oh, man, they go to shake your hand. It's like, I just seen you walk out of that stall. Can we just wash hands, and then I'll meet you in the hallway? Bathrooms, it's just everywhere. I've been so blessed. And one thing Vince McMahon had said to all the wrestlers, we shoot your face because your facial expressions and everything tells that story. So you're very recognizable. And when you go out in public, if you cannot accept, you have to be polite to fans. And a lot of times if you're having a bad day, it's just like, hey, I've got a lot of stuff on my plate today. Nice meeting you. A lot of times, 99% of the time, fans understand because they know what it's like. So, and they're really cool. You make it short. But his point is you're going to be very recognizable as in this line of work. And if you can't deal with it, then you might want to think of doing something else. So I've always been blessed to, with this, mug to be recognized, and fans really have always liked my style, my strong style of wrestling. So it's always been a positive experience. And a lot of times in the bathroom, if they'll recognize you, they'll say, hey man, when we get out, can I get a picture? Because that guy using the urinal behind me isn't really gonna like that selfie with him in the background. Yeah. Speaking of urinals, this one wrestler, it was always funny because he would go into a bathroom and he would drop his pants all the way to the floor to use the urinal next to a guy,
just as a gag.
Yeah, and it was the funniest thing because you would see the guy next to him looking like, what the heck's going on? And then he gets so uncomfortable. Yeah, A1 is his wrestling name. He's from Windsor. It was the funniest thing to watch.
I'm glad I didn't see that.
Yeah, right. So we can call him over here.
Yeah, I'm sure he's not that far away, right?
Windsor. That's not too far.
Yeah, The Rock was here the other day. Did you know that?
at Taylor Ford.
He was in Allen Park. He was at my son's hockey rink.
Really?
Yeah. Not when I was there. They had a big green screen soundstage set up.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah. He was at my buddy's shop over there at Taylor Ford.
Really?
Yeah. They were. I think they were in the garage shooting another Ford commercial or something.
Now,
so it was probably a 2-shot thing.
Right. Now, Chuck is in here with us, and he knows what a big fan I am of, like the Attitude Era and stuff like that.
Did you know I beat The Rock at the Joe?
You did?
History was made that night.
When was that? Was that before or after I met you? And did you know the date for that?
It was actually after I met you, and it was in 2001.
I should have known. Well, I met you in 2001.
Yeah, this was towards the tail end of 2001. So actually, it might have been the show that we were promoting. So you got me. You stumped me.
There you go. Oh yeah, because you and the Brawler were here.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
So we were talking about this, like the Attitude Era versus today, and it's talk about the evolution of where wrestling's gone.
Well, I think it's. Being a wrestling fan right now, because you have the network and the WWE universe, they own all the rights and the video library to a lot of these companies like WCW, ECW. So being a fan, especially $9.99, you get all that was a little plug.
Yeah, right. I caught it.
All the pay-per-views. So basically for the whole year, you're paying. If you just rented the Royal Rumble and WrestleMania, that pays for it throughout the whole year. So you get all that content, and then they have original shows like Ride Along. Slater and I, we were on that, and it was pretty funny. We stopped at a couple places, and that I don't think it airs. I think it airs this coming week. So yeah. So you have a lot of original shows, which you have new content too, and you can go up and look up any match, and just it's just a great thing. And to be a wrestling fan now, you can bring your kids, and it's a family experience too. So
give me a wow. Yeah, give me a wow moment from your career where you're like, man, I can't believe this.
Many.
Yeah, give me a few of them.
Shut the mics off for this. Might want to ask a young lady to step out of the room.
Yeah. No, she's got to stay. No, kidding. She's got that grimace on her face.
Yeah, she's probably like, I went to Central. You want to hear some stories? I'll give you some stories.
Is there people that you've met that you couldn't believe you'd ever get a chance to meet?
Oh, yeah. Just growing up as a wrestling fan, from Hulk Hogan to I never met the Ultimate Warrior, Andre the Giant. Those are two. Just hanging out in the locker room with Arn Anderson, because he works with WWE, and the knowledge, changing in the locker room with Ric Flair for probably 6-7 months, and just picking his brain, and him being so open to pass his knowledge on. I mean, if you're going to learn from someone, who better than Ric Flair? Triple H, he's very involved with the whole NXT brand, and just guys like that, the men and women, and just when we did the invasion angle in 2001 with Stephanie, and we're sitting there waiting, for the sound crew, and the camera guys are getting ready, and she telling me how she would tell me like the stories during the summer. She would go to work at the office, and her dad and her mom, Vince and Linda McMahon, would make her and Shane work in the mailroom. And the whole thing is to teach you all the positions of the job, because if you become management in this company and industry, you know what they're dealing with. Mm-hmm. So, and when they come to you with a problem, you have a better way to solve it, because you have an understanding of their job. So it's just stuff like that you hear, in this industry, and you learn, and so I've been very blessed to have learned all that and still learn, and then pass it on. And especially it's a very good product, for family. What
about people outside of wrestling that you've had a chance to meet?
I've met so many people other than yourself.
Right. I'm exempt. Right.
Yeah. Like days golfing, charity golfing we've done, and stuff like that. Yeah, we've done a lot. So, I've just been so blessed. Just guys from in the rock and roll, from Smashing Pumpkins,
right.
Billy Corgan. He's a big wrestling fan. And I've actually worked for him. He had a small promotion in Chicago, and then he did the stuff with TNA. But yeah, it was just, so many different guys that are good people, in general, and then you meet them, and then, some you develop a friendship with, and, so.
Yeah, I was thinking as I was driving down here today that in my rock room, I have one of your action figures that you gave me several years ago, and I should have brought it with me.
Was it an ECW one?
Yes, it was.
Red outfit? Yeah. I actually have a box that's that I have in my basement, Tommy Dreamer actually gave me, because he dealt with all the merchandise for ECW. Yeah, so he had that at his house, and he gave it to me, and it's kind of like I've only given a few out. So
I think this one had like some sort of like kicks thing or something.
Yeah, it was funny because the first time we went on the road, my buddy had gotten it from the store, and that was with the first action figure. I call them dolls. Right. It's so funny. You say dolls to other wrestlers, and they get so mad. They're action figures. They're dolls. Come on. Right?
You play with them. They're
kick,
dolls.
Right? Yeah. So anyways, I was kicking, the guy, A.T. Huck is his name. He's a referee, but he's actually local too. Great guy. I would kick him in the ear, and it's like Rhyno right leg kick, and then he's driving, and then actually Truth Martini was in the car too, and probably after the first half hour, I lost my interest, and I'm like, okay, I'm bored, guys. So
first half hour.
Yeah.
So I was going to ask you, do you collect a lot of your stuff? I mean, do you collect everything you have, like Gene Simmons from Kiss does?
You know what? I should, but I really don't. Yeah. I've collected some.
No wonder
things.
Your kid doesn't think you're cool. You don't have your own action. I don't have my own action figure. That's why my kids don't think I'm cool.
Actually, I have. I think there's like 9 or 10 different ones, but I've got them up in one of my room, like a room I turned into like an office type deal. So I've got those hanging up, and other than that, but it's one of those things where I'm cool to my daughter when she wants money, or like, hey, Dad, I see wrestling's coming around. Can you get me and my friend some tickets? Or can John Cena sign a picture for my class? Yeah, I guess.
Yeah, there you go. All right, final thing here for you, Rhyno, and of course, Tuesday, Smackdown at Joe Louis Arena. How was your experience in the political world?
Well, I won my primary, and then I lost a general. We had a good, clean race. We agreed on some things. We disagreed on others.
No, let's back up for people that may be out of the area listening to this. So you were running for representative.
Yep, state representative.
And you texted me the one day to see if I could go knock on doors with you. And with 2 of my kids,
yeah.
I think it was like a mass text. I'm like, dude, I have so much. I had from sun up to sundown, I had stuff going on there.
Yeah. And that's I actually knocked on like 14,000 doors.
Wow.
Hunter, Triple H, I always call him Hunter. A lot of people call him Paul, and he likes, people, that like a lot of the men and women that wrestle, call me Paul, please, but I always call him Hunter. We were talking, he's like, I could only imagine, a kid opening the door, or a parent or an adult, and it's like, Rhino's at my door. Actually, I've got some good stories about that. I knock on the door, and this, the whole summer I was knocking on doors. I started, I think it was May, and all the way up until November, and that's grassroots,
right?
And I see this guy, he's grabbing money, and I'm thinking like off this like end table next to, it was like by the door, and I think it was, anyways, long story short, it was a little table, and I'm thinking, wow, he's gonna give me a
donate to your campaign,
right on the doorstep, which I had happen, but you have to checks or money order, and I'm seeing, and then I see him start to grab change, and I'm like, well, maybe he's, times are tough, but he still wants to donate. He comes right to the door, he goes, oh, you're not the pizza guy. And I go, no, I'm just running for office. But now that I know you have pizza coming, I'm going to stay and hang out and talk. But it was one of those moments. And then I think, because I've met a lot of people in politics. Usually, excuse me, young lady, but usually you have that odd story of, someone will open and they're half dressed.
Yeah.
And usually of the, opposite sex, yeah. And you're just like, wow, this is great. Good morning to me, or good afternoon.
That happened?
A buddy of mine, he's actually a mayor, I will not say of what city, he told me the lady's 2-year-old son whipped open the door before she could put her robe on.
Oh, okay.
And then she slammed it, and he was like, oh. And then the lady that would help him go door knocking, a lot of times, like, women will open up the door without any bottoms on. And then, like, he's like, well, why don't you call me over? Say, this is a candidate. You can talk to him, right? So anyways, long story short, I think this lady was hiding behind the door, and it was after I had just received 8 stitches in my eye. My eye's black, and you don't want to waste any time, knocking on doors. So I look like a bit of a ruffian. So this lady's kind of hiding behind this door, and it was a younger lady. And on my sheet, it said a guy lived there, probably in his mid-20s, and it must have been his girlfriend or something. But so I hand her my thing, and she's like, "Oh, is this you?" And I'm like, "Yeah, blah, blah, blah." And then as I walked away, it was a nice little conversation. I'm like, I thought that she was afraid of me because of his black eye and stitches, and then I realized I think she was naked behind that door. Like, if I would have known that, because you have your literature, I would have been like, here's my literature. Reach for it. A little bit further. Oh.
So how many people recognize you when you knock on the door?
Oh, a ton.
Really?
A ton. It's funny because I would start about 10:30. Don't want to go before that. And I would get a lot of half-naked, middle-aged men with no shirts on. And they're just waking up just all hairy, guts and chest scratching. Can I help you? It's like, yeah, I'm just going to leave this literature. I'm running for office, hopefully.
And then the commercial with Kurt Angle. I don't know whether
that was great.
I don't know whether I should have laughed or cried, to be honest.
Oh, it was great. And it was meant to, create some buzz.
Maybe a little viral
like
video, yeah.
Yeah. And, Kurt was a great sport, and his family was in it, and his neighbor, and, his one neighbor. I'll tell you off the air. She came over wearing spandex. We'll just leave it at that.
Rhino's got a lot of stories.
Right.
Well, listen, man, it's always good catching up with you. Have a great Christmas, and look for my Christmas card. I can't believe it didn't get to your house yet.
Yeah, I look forward to it.
Yours was the first one I sent out. I just sent the rest of them out today.
Really?
So
I feel special. But this, the 20th, this Tuesday, SmackDown Live. Last time SmackDown's going to be at the Joe, and last time I'm wrestling there.
There you have it, the man beast, Rhyno from the WWE. I'll tell you what, it's so much fun to take the kids down and go check out a live event for the WWE, especially the TV shows, SmackDown and Raw, when they got the pyro and they got the stage, they got the the intros, and I mean, just it's really cool. If you get a chance, definitely go see SmackDown or Raw next time it's in town. In the meantime, thank you so much for checking out the podcast. Of course, we're coming up on the end of the year. I've got 2 end-of-the-year podcasts ready to go for you guys, kind of like the best of 2016. And the first one is going to be up next week, all right? And it's going to be pretty cool, man. I got Kirk Hammett on there. I do believe Corey Taylor's on this one. Who else we got? Joe Perry. There's just a lot of great guests on it. I did 2 of them, but I can't remember which ones are which at this time. But I'll tell you what, for the next 2 weeks, the best of, and it's some really good listening. And it might be a chance to hear some of the stuff maybe you didn't get a chance to hear, during the year because you've been busy or whatever the case is. Maybe you can go back and revisit some of them. In the meantime, thank you so much for checking out Radio Chatter for 2016. Have a great Christmas. Have a great New Year. And 2017, bigger and better things to come.